Hi class, today we're working on chapter 2-3, solving multi-step equations. So you can model many situations with 1 and 2-step equations. More complicated situations such as finding the cost of multiple items involve multiple steps. You often need to simplify at least one side of the equation before solving it. To simplify, you combine like terms. So we're going to start out by solving 3n plus 9 plus 4n equals 2. So the first thing we want to do is use the commutative property. So that means that we are able to move the terms around so that we can combine like terms. So we want to do 3n plus 4n plus 9 equals 2. So now we have the 3n and the 4n next to each other. So let's go ahead and combine those like terms. We're going to get 7n plus 9 equals 2. So now we're going to subtract 9 from each side. It's the opposite of adding. So we have 7n plus 9 minus 9. Whatever you do to that side, you do to this side. 2 minus n. Simplify. So the 9 minus 9 equals 0, so we're left with 7n equals 2 minus 9 is going to equal a negative 7. So now we're going to divide 7 by both sides. So we have 7n divided by 7 equals negative 7 divided by 7. Go ahead and simplify that. We are left with n equals negative 1. Let's check to see if that's correct. So if we plug that into the original equation, 3n plus 4n plus 9 equals 2, n equals negative 1, we're going to have 3 times negative 1 plus 4 times negative 1 plus 9 equals 2. 3 times negative 1 is going to be negative 3, plus 4 times negative 1 is going to be negative 4, plus 9 equals 2. Combine these first two, we have negative 7 plus 9 equals 2. Negative 7 plus 9 is equal to 2. 2 does in fact equal 2. That is correct. So let's look at this next one. Why don't you try to do it on your own? Come back to me and let me know how it goes. You should have got b equals negative 11. Okay, so using the distributive property, we have a word problem here I'm going to read to you. Your class hopes to collect 1,200 returnable bottles to raise money for a class trip. During the first week, the 24 students in your class collect an average of 34 bottles each. How many more bottles per student should be collected? So we have 24 students times 34 bottles per student plus however many we still need additional bottles per student. And that's going to equal 1,200 bottles. So if we had 24 times 34. The additional students, let's call the variable r. I'm going to add those. Is going to equal 1,200. So the first thing we want to do is use the distributive property. So we want to multiply the 24 into this one and then into this one. 24 times 34 is going to equal 816 plus 24r, and that equals 1,200. We want to subtract 816 from each side. It's going to equal 0, so we're left with 24r equals 384. We're now going to divide each side by 24. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. R is going to equal 16. Each student should collect 16 more bottles. So we often need to check for reasonableness. So if we round 24 to 20, and 34 to 40, the class collected about 20 times 40, so that equals 800 bottles. They need to collect 400 more, or 20 bottles per student. So 400 more, and if we said that the class, we rounded to 20, so they each need to collect about 20 more. Is 16 close to 20? Yeah, if we were rounding to the nearest 10, 16 would equal 20. Therefore, yes, it is reasonable. Okay, here is a problem that I want you to solve. Your class goes to an amusement park. Admission is $10 for each student and $15 for each chaperone. The total cost is $380. There are 12 girls in your class and 6 chaperones on the trip. How many boys are in your class? See if you can figure that out on your own. Press pause, do some work, and then come back to me. Okay, so what I did is this first equation, I did $10 times the students plus 15, which is how much the chaperones cost. There were 6 chaperones, equals a total of $380. And then I substituted for the students B plus 12, boys plus the 12 girls. So that had to get distributed. The 10 had to get distributed to both those. So that's how I got 10B plus 120 plus 90 equals 380. And when I worked that out and simplified, I got a total of 17 boys. There are more than one way to work this though. So let's take a look at this second part. You can also use division to simplify equations. The algebra tiles below model one way to simplify the equation 2 times x plus 1 equals 12. First, divide each side by 2. Grouping the tiles into 2 equal groups, then remove one group from each side. The simplified equation is x plus 1 equals 6. So just how I distributed right here, what if I were to have done 15 times 6 which would equal 90. And then I had 10 times b plus 12, and this was 90. So if I subtracted 90 from this side and subtracted 90 from the other side, I'd get that it was equal to 290. Divide by 10, I'm left with b plus 12 equals 29. Subtract 12 from each side. I get b is equal to 17. Same answer, different way to solve. So there are more than one way to solve. So now looking at the new way, because we have the 5 already pulled out, let's go ahead and divide by 5 instead of distributing it. Crosses that out. 2.9 plus k is going to be equal to 1.66. Subtract 2.9 from both sides. K is going to equal, so it's, because it's a positive subtracting a negative, I'm going to go 2.90 subtract 1.66, but then it's going to be a negative. Negative 1.24. But if we look and see the other way to do it, if we were to, sorry, this is in my way, distribute it, times 2.9 14.5 plus 5k equals 8.3. Subtract 14.5 from both sides. So this is like 14.5 minus 8.3. It's going to be a negative. 6.2. Divide by 5. Remembering that it's a negative. Oops, I put a 4 and it's a 5. .24. Either way, I get the same answer. It's just different steps involved. Either way, you can do it, whatever way you prefer. Your homework for tonight is page 61 through 62, number 3 through 21 odd.